Look at this madness. Look at this, This is an entire computer. This is the EM780 in the Mercury series from Minisforum. We've been taking a look at AMD's mobile solutions lately, but mobile solutions kind of in a desktop form factor. This one is truly 65 watts. Don't remove the CPU cooler. Liquid metal. Liquid metal. First time you power it on, it might take it a minute because DDR5 training. Here's the manual. And this is it. This is the PC. This is literally everything? Yeah. Forget pillow cube, more like compute cube. Alright, so at the rear we've got HDMI to USB Type A and one USB 4. Yes, this does support PCIe tunneling. We'll test that, don't worry. Another Type A on the side, a micro SD card slot, and a Kensington lock port. On the front, we've got a power button. I suppose that's the front. A combination headphone microphone jack, TRRS 4 conductor, and then another USB 4 port along with a reset button. It breathes from the top and sides and bottom. It's got a tiny little fan in the bottom and a tiny little fan in the top, and that's it. This model is configured with 32 gigabytes of memory. You can get it with 32 gigabytes of memory, 16 gigabytes of memory, or 64 gigabytes of memory. But this is a dual channel model, and if you're going to go with the iGPU, I definitely recommend dual channel. Inside bundled this time is a hardwired Ethernet port plus USB-C. This is the thing that a lot of people, including me, complained about. And look, it's a hardwired, it comes with a hardwired USB-C adapter with USB-C pass-through. You can actually use your charger with this, so your charger charges through here, and then this goes that way, and then you get your Ethernet connection here. This is also a thing that I suggested last time, is to just use the USB-C port in creative ways, and then you don't really need a hardwired Ethernet port actually physically built into this thing. But in the box, you do actually get a hardwired Ethernet port via this Minisforum adapter, which we will also test. It's funny, they call this a USB-C docking station. It's like, probably need more USB ports if you're going to call it a docking station. More like Ethernet plus power pass-through. Also bundled is this GAN 65 watt charger, which is pretty premium. Got two cables, a Type-C cable and an HDMI cable. So it's a pretty good bundle this time around. I mean, 8 cores, 32 gigabytes of memory. This thing is going to have some serious performance. Let's hook it up through a level 1 text KVM. Now we've got several different models of KVM that we sell at store.level1text.com. This one is the combo one, which does USB-C power delivery and display. You give up some display bandwidth in order to have display and USB travel over one wire, but it can do 65 watt charging. Comes with a big giant power brick. Hey, look at that. I got my keyboard and my mouse connected and the display and everything through just the single USB-C data connection. That's pretty awesome. The fan can go into turbo mode. Can you hear that? That is the loudest the device will ever be on your desktop. The cooling's definitely effective. I can feel a lot of air coming out the back. 5,400 points in CPU-Z for multi-core. That's pretty good considering we really are at a 65 watt power limit. At about 543 for single thread. That's pretty good performance for something so tiny. And don't forget, we've also got the 780M graphics built right in. Confirmed our memory is 4 channels at 32-bit. Well, there's 2 channels per DIMM, so 2 dual channel, but it looks like it should for 2 sticks of memory basically, but not sticks of memory because it's, built in. We have what we should for the memory here. It is LPDDR5 though, so LPDDR5 means in AIDA64 it's going to show as 3907, frontside bus clock speed, okay. Fine, whatever. Reasonable speed for LPDDR5. It's not really configurable, overclockable, replaceable. So keep that in mind. If you had insanely fast notebook memory, that does help the iGPU. So you can game on esports on this with a 780M, but you're better off streaming from a dedicated gaming PC with a dedicated GPU because you do have hardware decode for H.264, 265, AV1. You got all the RDNA 3 goodness in this chip. The out-of-the-box latency is not an awe-inspiring 127 nanoseconds. We're going to go into BIOS in a second and see if I can get that down just a little bit. CPU-Z knows that we're dealing with Hynix memory, SK Hynix, but it doesn't really know any of the other parameters, so I don't really know what frequency it's supposed to be, or if this is normal behavior for the memory. It's not performing bad. Like the benchmark performance for LPDDR5 on an ultra-mobile 65-watt platform is about where I would expect it to be, albeit with the memory latency as reported by 8064 being a tad on the high side. I was expecting around 100 nanoseconds, not 127. Now, just to be clear, our overall system power limit is 65 watts. The reported TDP of the CPU is 28 watts. Yeah, the CPU can use a little bit more than 28 watts in sort of a burst scenario, but as we look through the sensors for Hardware Info 64, we see the CPU does actually stick pretty close to 28 watts in most cases. We've got one case where it went 150% over the limit in EDC, but again, this is normal. This is totally fine. 28 watts in a mobile platform is reasonable. And the fact that it's in our desktop platform here, well, I mean, that goes without saying that it's fine. The cooling solution is better in this than just about any notebook that you would have. Well, the cooling solution that you have in this is as good or better than middle class and higher notebooks. So let's run the 8064 benchmark one more time with the system not being quite so busy and just make sure that our latency really is 127 nanoseconds. Yeah, this is supposed to be LPDDR5 6400. Oh, 3200. Yeah. So that was actually correct. So it was showing up. Okay, that's good. The latency was just terrible. This BIOS is a customized Minisforum BIOS, so you don't have all of the options. It's not the unlocked Aptio. This is maybe more user-friendly, but it doesn't give you as many options. It does have the AC failure and wake system by RTC, so as soon as it gets power, it can come on if you want to configure it for remote access or as part of a kiosk or something. Small form factor machines, people often want to do that. You can also customize the fan profile if you like, so that it's a little more aggressive or a little less aggressive. By default, out of the box, it does come with SVM enabled, so you can have a secure virtual machine. That means the Windows subsystem for Linux will work. Some Minisforum machines come with virtualization disabled, some come with it enabled. This one, for me, was enabled out of the box. We also have some of the AMD CBS options exposed to us, including Smart Shift, SPL, PPT, and Thermal Control. Thermal Control really just gives you control for TJ Maxx, and that's pretty much it. For the graphics configuration, it comes by default with a 2GB frame buffer. It does have the UMA game optimized option. You could disable the iGPU if you were using USB 4, but I don't know that I recommend that. Under system configuration, you can set the wattage from 15 to 54 watts. That and load optimized defaults are pretty much the only BIOS options you have. If I want to look at timings or sub-timings to control the memory latency, there's not a lot of options from the BIOS side of it. I'm going to have to use another approach. Single core scores in Geekbench over 2,000, 9905 for the multi-core score. This is really good for something that is so tiny and so power efficient. The same CPU and a higher TDP configuration, we've seen that. We've seen that from Minisforum. We've seen how much faster that can be. But in this power envelope, with these features, dual USB 4 ports, plus HDMI, plus 3 USB Type-A, plus micro SD, that's pretty incredible. Now, internally, like the other one, you got a 22 M.2, so you could put in a larger M.2 if you wanted, but that's pretty much it for your upgradability, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if you consider these as basically disposable computers. This is something you're going to use for 2 or 3 or 4 years, or hand me down to a family member, or it's something that you need to just run in an out-of-the-way place. If you are planning to use this as something in an out-of-the-way place, though, I would say consider the dust and dust implications. Like, generally do better with a larger fan for dust immunity because, behind a cash register or something, the little fans are not going to hold up. But in a hospitality type situation, or you just need an internet kiosk or something like that, this is hard to beat. It really is. Among the folks making mini PCs that have exploded in popularity the last couple of years, Minisforum's reputation is still among the best. The weakest part is getting BIOS updates after the fact, but in terms of stability, you can mail it in for warranty service. I've actually bought stuff from Minisforum, and I've actually had to use the RMA service, and you got to mail it in, you got to wait a week or two and then get it back, but it's a reasonable process. And I'm not sure that I would be able to say the same for some of the other stuff that I've ordered and that has come from far away. And it's just like, now where did this come from again? Can I get some warranty service? I don't know. It really does feel like we're living in the future every time I look at one of these, because it's 8 cores. It's 8 cores and 16 threads and a tiny power envelope, and it's running almost entirely off of a single USB 4 connection, and then I've got a wired Ethernet connection on the other side, and it's coming out to our monitor here, and what a time to be alive. It's so powerful, but it's so tiny, and it's not come from nowhere, but we've come a long way in just 5 short years. Heck, the GAN charger alone's worth what? 20, 35 bucks? It's tiny, but it's 65 watts. Now, I didn't talk enough about it before, but Minisforum does actually bundle a USB-C Ethernet adapter that has pass-through USB-C. The pass-through USB-C theoretically would support pass-through for power, but I wasn't actually able to get that to work reliably. It works fine as a USB port, but plugging your DC brick, your power adapter, into this and then powering the Minisforum was never as good as just running the Minisforum directly off of a power brick or the Level 1 Tech's USB-C KVM. You can also use something like this. This is the one from the Pine project. This is one of the best USB-C breakout things that you can get. And so you could plug that in like this, and then you can connect your USB-C power to this. And then you still have hardwired Ethernet this way as well, but you can actually power the device, which is welcome and nice and awesome. And you've only got the single connection to the Minisforum machine, and it's going to wake up our display and everything's going to work. So it is really awesome that Minisforum bundles this Ethernet, this hardwired 1 gigabit Ethernet adapter. So good job, Minisforum. One of the finest mini PC makers in all of Hong Kong, mayhaps the world. I can't believe it's as fast as it is. I mean, you can do esports on a 780M. I will always prefer a DGPU or something like our HX100G that we also reviewed, and that we also stuffed into a Super Nintendo. Be sure to check out those videos. Well, anyway, that's enough of that. I'm Woodless Level 1. I'm signing out, and you can find me in the Level 1 forums. These are all AMD. So many little processors.